damage that was sent to destroy me. They wanted to make sure that the energy was disconnected, that the soul was disconnected.
Some disturbing details to add about Angie Stone's crash. So it just came to my attention after watching a video that people are reporting hearing.
To find out a lot of my publishing, a lot of my royalties, my mechanicals, they have all pretty much been stolen. I knew it was an attack. I knew it was a spiritual attack on me. However, I was treated and God healed me. He cleared up after 2 weeks.
There's more to Angie Stone's tragic car crash than we thought. The police accidentally leaked shocking evidence suggesting the accident was planned. Whispers online have long pointed out inconsistencies, but a suspicious video circulating on TikTok has intensified the speculation. Why was Angie the only fatality? Why haven't we heard from the survivors? What happened to the truck driver? Has he been arrested or investigated? Why is no one scrutinizing the trucking company? Even more puzzling, why isn't the family asking questions? Adding to the mystery, videos discussing Angie's passing keep disappearing. Is there a cover-up at play? Fans demand answers, but authorities remain silent. As the speculation grows, many believe there's more to the story than what's being told.
Did the truck driver get out and start rendering aid too? Because when you hit somebody, you're supposed to start rendering aid. Or that's a crime within itself.
Nobody made it out alive. So against the theory, she did not die in the van. The van was not her cause of death. Something happened to her when she got outside of the van, when she crawled outside the van, and many witnesses have confirmed she crawled outside the van. It looked like everybody made it out alive. So against the theory, she did not die in the van. The van was not her cause of death. Something happened to her when she got outside of the van, when she crawled outside the van, and many witnesses have confirmed she crawled outside that van. Afterwards, something happened.
The situation seems highly suspicious, sparking speculation of a massive law enforcement cover-up to protect those responsible for Angie's death. The deeper you dig, the shadier it gets. Trust me, we're uncovering everything. Stay tuned as we break down the details and expose what's really going on.
Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a very, very, very hard worker. I aim to please. I try very hard not to cancel any shows if I don't have to. Shy of it being something God called, or an unwarranted death or a health issue of some kind. I generally try to make all my dates.
We've all heard the official story of how the legendary Angie Stone tragically passed away on March 1st, 2025. Angie and her crew were returning from a Mardi Gras concert in Alabama in a Sprinter van. At the time, they had been in the middle of filming a new project, but decided to take a break. While traveling on I-65, their Sprinter overturned. Miraculously, the 9 people inside were relatively unharmed. However, before they could escape or call for help, a semi-truck crashed into them, resulting in a fatal accident. Angie, at 63, was the only casualty. Initially, fans accepted the tragic loss as an unfortunate accident. But soon, people started connecting the dots and asking questions. Why was Angie the only one who died? Who was driving the semi-truck? Why haven't we heard from the other survivors? Adding to the mystery, one of Angie's last Instagram posts contained an eerie message. She wrote, "I've just discovered something that's been hidden in the dark for too long. My publishing was stolen, and guess what? I know exactly who did it. But don't get it twisted. I'm coming for you. All the dogs who thought they could take what's mine, trust, I'm ready." Just like Jamie Foxx said, what had happened was, well, Now it's my turn to share my testimony. It's a new chapter, and you can bet the truth is coming to light. Stay tuned. Asterisk now, people are wondering, was her death really an accident?
Out, she didn't stop it, she didn't expose it, but I'm hearing secretly they just asked her, can you not put all the videos out, please? And I hear that same lady, she is getting her lawyers and she's getting her people together. They said this trucking company has a bad reputation of doing people wrong. They said this is the same trucking company that hit Tracy Morgan, and Tracy Morgan, I guess, sued the truck or the insurance company over $90 million.
She didn't come out, she didn't stop it, and she didn't expose it, but I'm hearing that behind the scenes, they asked her, asterisk, can you not release all the videos, please? Asterisk now, that same woman is reportedly lawyering up and gathering her team. Sources claim this trucking company has a shady history and a reputation for wrongdoing. Allegedly, it's the same company involved in Tracy Morgan's crash, which led to a massive lawsuit. Tracy reportedly sued the trucking company or its insurer for over $90 million.
I have some disturbing details to add about Angie Stone's crash. So it just came to my attention after watching a video that people are reporting hearing pop, pop, pop before the crash. Sounds like we may have a case of road rage. Either one, road rage, or two, you know what. Now, it seems that the pop, pop, pop may have been gunshots to the tires, and that will cause the van to lose control.
This has made a lot of people start questioning what really happened to Angie. It's been weeks since the tragic accident that took her from us, yet there's still no investigation, no mugshot, no updates, and no official statements. It's like she died and no one cares about finding out the truth, or worse, someone is actively covering it up. How else do you explain the timing? Just as Angie started exposing UMG and Clive Davis, she mysteriously loses her life in a freak accident? That's no coincidence. Oh, but that's not even the most shocking part. Wait until you hear from a witness who saw the entire thing unfold and barely escaped getting hit by the same truck that killed Angie. According to this witness, Angie didn't die from the initial crash. Instead, a Caucasian woman on the scene reportedly helped her out of the van. But then, a man in the semi-truck came along and struck her. Even more disturbing, multiple witnesses claim they heard loud popping sounds just before the crash. Something about this just doesn't add up.
After driving the 6 hours home, showering, and processing it all, here's the story. About 4 a.m. on Saturday morning, me and my daughter were driving to Charleston, South Carolina for her sweet 16 birthday getaway. We came up to a truck with a trailer and its flashers were on, so we slowed down some, and that's when I noticed there was an overturned vehicle in the fast lane. And it looked like it just happened. I pulled over and put my flashers on, and I told my daughter to stay in the car, and I ran over. It was a van, and I ran over, and there were so many people in this van, and they were just trying to get out. And I asked if they'd called the cops, and they said, we're just trying to get out. And they were helping this woman out off the side of the van, and I grabbed her hand and I helped her get down, and she seemed out of it, and I was holding her hand and she was wobbling.
Then, a video surfaced of a woman claiming to be the one who helped Angie. According to her, she and her daughter were driving along the highway when they spotted the overturned van. Curious, she stopped to investigate, only to be shocked by what she found. Multiple people inside, all screaming for help. She insisted that when she arrived, everyone was still alive, including Angie. Her account raises even more questions about what really happened that night.
Next thing I know, I flew and I fell down to the ground, and it felt like something not ran over me, but brushed over me. Like something just swiped over my body. And I got up and I could hear screaming, and I just focused in on one screaming, and it was my daughter. And all I could do was run across the highway and tell her to get back in the car. She had to move the car because if somebody else hit us, it could hit her. So she moved the car farther up the interstate, and I called 911, and they said they were on their way. And then all I could think to do was get to my daughter. And that's all I could do in that time. And when I was walking to my daughter, we were really running. The best that I can do, I was in so much pain. My chest felt like an elephant was sitting on it. My legs were so hurt and sore. And I looked up, and there was an 18-wheeler that had crossed the median into the other oncoming traffic. And I knew that's what hit me and ran over. And it rushed over me, was the 18-wheeler. And my daughter's freaking out. She'd already called my husband by then and my father-in-law. And I just told her we've got to get to the hospital. I can't breathe. It was so hard to breathe. I'm gonna post a video of the 18-wheeler after I left the hospital, driving back through to get to my husband and my son. I will not be posting the vehicle in the video because somebody did pass away. And it did. And I won't be posting that for respect for their family. I'm sore, I'm bruised on the right side of my body. I'm very stiff everywhere. But I will keep you guys updated. The video is going to come at the end, okay? Hug your family tight. Hug your family tight. Bye.
She helped Angie out of the van, and as they tried to figure out what to do next, she suddenly felt something brush past her. Before she could react, she realized what had happened. A truck had seemingly appeared out of nowhere and struck Angie, taking her life instantly.
Brings me a lot of joy. She brings both Bobby and I a lot of joy. She will be missed, that's for sure.
I still feel her everywhere. She's still around me. And that's what keeps me comfortable, is that knowing that my best friend, you know, my everything is still with me.
She's in much better hands now.
We here in the Atlanta area, that same source also tells me that it will be a celebration of sorts. The Sweet 16 or the prom that she never had a chance to attend. And then after the funeral, her body will be flown to New Jersey, where she will be laid to rest next to her mother.
According to the woman, the 18-wheeler had no reason to be at that intersection at that time, making the accident seem suspicious from a logistical standpoint. But here's where it gets even creepier. Allegedly, there was a recording of the crash from the camera that's typically installed on long-distance trucks. That footage would have captured everything, showing exactly how the accident happened. At first, sources claim the footage was uploaded online, but now, no matter how deep you dig, you won't find it. Every trace of the video has been wiped from the internet. Even stranger is the silence from Angie's family. Since her passing, they haven't publicly pushed for answers about what really happened. After releasing a brief statement announcing her death, the only other thing they've done is ask people to crowdfund funeral expenses. It's unsettling because you'd expect Angie's kids to at least be curious. Their mother was in the middle of suing UMG, one of the biggest names in the industry, and working on her biopic, where she planned to reveal the raw, unfiltered truth about her career's ups and downs. Given these circumstances, wouldn't her sudden, tragic accident raise some red flags? Unless, no, you didn't hear this from me. The rumors are true that Angie's children did ask questions, but were silenced with threats. Some claim they were warned to keep quiet or risk being the next targets. If that's the case, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen something like this happen to Black legends and their families. Remember Whitney Houston? And how her daughter, Bobby Christina Brown, died under eerily similar circumstances just a few years later. Just like with Angie, there were glaring red flags. Initially, Bobby Christina's autopsy found no obvious cause of death, no significant injuries, nothing unusual. They tested her for drugs and alcohol, and at first nothing was found. But then, mysteriously, a second autopsy was done, and suddenly, the police announced that her body tested positive for alcohol, sedatives, and other substances. Something just isn't adding up.
And then the next thing you know,
She's dead. Ray J was the last person to see her alive. He let the dealer in, but she was sober, right? But he let the dealer in that gave her the shot. Viola Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, has said on several occasions that she was beaten. They saw her body. She didn't just die in a tub, like she was beat up.
Seems fishy, right? Word on the street is that Bobby Christina had to be taken out because she was asking too many questions about her mother's death. She never accepted the official story that Whitney took her own life or overdosed. But we all know that asking too many questions can get you unalived. Maybe Angie Stone's children took the hint. Maybe they decided that searching for the truth wasn't worth risking their own lives. Speaking of Whitney, people can't help but notice the eerie similarities between her story and Angie's. It's a pattern we've seen too many times. 1. A black girl gets discovered by a major record label and becomes a star. 2. She gets caught up in scandal, whether it's drugs, a toxic relationship, or industry drama. 3. As she gets older, she starts planning to expose the people who wronged her or stole from her. 4. She mysteriously dies, and the world calls it an accident. Whitney Houston, Kim Porter, Aaliyah, Lisa Left Eye Lopez, and now Angie Stone. With Whitney, the official story blamed drugs. But was her addiction really an accident? According to reports, the people around her, especially her label bosses, didn't necessarily force her into it, but they made sure those substances were always within reach. When you're constantly surrounded by temptation, it's only a matter of time before the pressure of fame gets to you. A little turns into a little more until it spirals into full-blown addiction. Then, when Whitney started reclaiming her power, talking about sharing her truth, exposing Clive Davis, and taking back control, they realized she had become a liability. And what did they do? They took her out and blamed it on the drugs.
And all I can say is a lot of the promoters, people that would book me, all of a sudden they don't want to book me because I'm problematic because of possibly the damage that was sent to destroy me. They wanted to make sure that the energy was disconnected, that the soul was disconnected, that the tie that binded us was destroyed. So the enemy did a personal attack on me. So there I was fighting tooth and nail to at least maintain my stability in the industry.
With Aaliyah and Kim Porter, it was the toxic romantic relationship pipeline. Two incredibly talented women who ended up in the hands of powerful men. When they finally decided they'd had enough and wanted to tell their stories, they both died under mysterious circumstances. A sudden, out-of-nowhere pneumonia infection. A plane crash that could have been completely avoided if just one person had done their job properly. It doesn't add up. Then there's Lisa Left Eye Lopez, who, interestingly enough, also had issues with weight for Clive Davis. Left Eye was working on a documentary before she passed, and although she never explicitly said she planned to expose the industry and the labels that exploited her and TLC, it's clear they saw her as a threat. Next thing you know, bam, she's in a violent car crash in broad daylight. The impact was so extreme you'd think she was speeding down a highway at 120 miles per hour, drunk and half asleep. But no, she wasn't intoxicated, she wasn't drowsy, and she was driving in the middle of the day. Now, when you put all of this into context, Angie Stone's sudden, tragic accident starts looking a whole lot more suspicious. Angie had her fair share of career controversies, and almost all of them were tied to her past relationship with singer D'Angelo. Their tumultuous romance ended up being a massive thorn in Angie's career. But what many people probably didn't realize at the time was just how much influence Angie had on D'Angelo's rise to fame. She helped him write many of his songs and played a major role in shaping his Brown Sugar and Voodoo albums. And what did she get in return for her loyalty and contributions? Disrespect and a blackballed career. Angie once spilled the tea on how breaking up with D'Angelo hurt her career more than anything else. She claimed that his team actively worked against her, spreading damaging rumors that she was the one who got him hooked on alcohol and drugs, painting her as the villain who ruined his life. As if that wasn't enough, they also made sure she got blacklisted in the industry. Suddenly, she couldn't book performance gigs or go on tours the way she used to. A pattern is starting to emerge, don't you think?
Trying to keep from crying because the devil was very, very, very particular in targeting me. But anyway, I was rushed to the hospital because I wasn't breathing so well. Came to find out, I had what was a bacterial blood infection that I had gotten when they stuck me with the needle. It had went into my bloodstream and caused a staph infection of the blood. Now, I didn't have a clue that there was a blood infection until they rushed me into ICU. I went into ICU and I went to use the restroom and I passed out in the restroom. My oxygen went all the way down and rendered me basically unconscious. When I came back to, the nurses began to tell me that I was screaming for Jesus because when I went down, I'm sorry, I knew it was an attack. I knew it was a spiritual attack on me. However, I was treated and God healed me. He cleared up. After 2 weeks, solid, they cleared up the blood infection. I'm just here to let you know the only reason I hadn't been on.
The truth is, Angie Stone's impact on the neo-soul and R&B genres was undeniable, even if she never received the recognition she truly deserved. And that's exactly why she was fighting UMG so hard in the weeks leading up to her death. In her final days, Angie took to social media to spill all the tea, exposing how UMG had been stealing from her for years, the royalties and payments she was rightfully owed. She never saw a dime. But it didn't stop there. According to Angie, part of the problem was her own management failing to represent her properly. She missed out on countless acting roles and career opportunities simply because her team wasn't doing their job. UMG took full advantage of this mismanagement, lining their pockets while Angie struggled to get what was rightfully hers. She was essentially working like a slave while the executives raked in millions off her talent. Even more disturbingly, shortly before her death, Angie revealed that she believed she had been attacked spiritually. She mysteriously developed a serious blood infection that left her fighting for her life, something that now feels like more than just a coincidence. Not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but is it really that hard to believe that Angie felt like people were coming after her? She suddenly developed a mysterious, unexplained illness right before her tragic passing. We've seen this script play out way too many times to just chalk it up as a coincidence. And you know what makes this even worse? The vultures are already circling. You just know that in no time there will be talks of a biopic because that's how the industry works. After stealing from her for years, they'll still find a way to profit off her death. And let's be real, unless Angie's kids or estate have a lawyer willing to fight tooth and nail for them, they probably won't see a single dime from any of it. But now, we want to hear from you. Do you think there's something suspicious about Angie's death? Could it be connected to her exposing her record label? Or do you think it's all just an unfortunate coincidence? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and then check out this next.